Every Maine runner has a story to tell.
My name is Phil Pierce. I'm 73 years old.
And their own reason for running this race.
From those with decades of experience.
See, it's just full of medals.
Refusing to let age slow them down.
To me, the only time I really know my age is when I look in the mirror.
To the runners hoping to cross this Boston finish line for the very first time.
I never expected to run a marathon even at this young, let alone Boston.
Some are fighting to end the pain.
Been with chronically sick.
And to find a cure.
When I'm hitting that wall, I'm gonna think about him.
Or to ease the burden.
I was losing hope and I was losing faith, and it's like she made it all so much better.
Others are moving on, using an unthinkable tragedy.
We were strangers.
To create unbreakable bonds.
The good part of the bad, this is the best part, is my friendship with her.
To heal, together at the finish line.
It's going to be a good day again.
This is more than a marathon. It's a 26.2-mile journey with new meaning.
Now, live from CBS 13 News, Mainers at the Marathon, the heart of the race.
Well, good morning, everyone. We're coming to you live from Cambridge, Massachusetts. There's the Charles behind me, and thank you so much for joining us for our marathon special, proudly brought to you by Saco Biddeford Savings Bank. I'm Dave Eade alongside Jana Barnello and Mercer Bodner, and coming up in this next hour, we have some really inspirational stories that'll really touch you and have moved all of us.
You'll laugh, you'll cry, and you'll probably be glad you didn't have to train for a marathon during this Maine winter. We have so many incredible, inspiring stories to tell you about over the next 60 minutes.
But we begin first with a story not about the devastation on Boylston Street, instead one of triumph and the everlasting bond formed by two survivors. Maria Valvena shows us how they're embarking on a personal marathon of healing.
Michelle LaRue is Maine bred.
I grew up in Auburn.
And Boston strong.
In 1998, I moved to Boston.
Spending several marathon Mondays along the course cheering as her boyfriend ran. 2013 was the first time she decided to watch on Boylston Street.
It felt really special to be standing by the finish line and to see him cross.
A block up from the finish line, Sabrina Della Russo was at her usual post.
It's a big tradition of ours. We always go to the same bar, the Forum.
You can see Sabrina behind the mailbox here. Next to her is her friend Roseanne. The man in the white hat behind Roseanne, Johar Tsarnaev.
We heard a loud explosion to the left of us.
It was the first bomb exploding right near Michelle.
I remember looking to my right, and then I looked to my left, and that's when I saw the back of my leg was blown open. And I just saw flesh just hanging out of my jeans.
This is surveillance video of Michelle holding her leg and limping into Marathon Sports for help.
And I put my hands on the counter, and I just started saying, please help me, please help me. There were some people standing there, and when I had my hands up, that's when I realized my arm was ripped open, all right here, and I had a large flap of skin and muscle hanging out, and that's when I kind of just started sinking down to the ground.
Outside, the second bomb went off. That one right by Sabrina and her friends.
Stood up and saw a lot of things that nobody in their lifetime should ever see.
So that was pretty difficult for me.
8 months later, more than 100 marathon survivors were invited on a cruise through the south of France.
We were strangers, and we were brought together because we were just all at the same place at the wrong time.
Sabrina and Michelle met on the first night.
We understand, like, we weren't standing at the same explosions, but it's the same experience, and it's an experience nobody should have to ever go through.
With their unsinkable spirits, the two women have been inseparable ever since.
The good part of the bad, this is the best part, is my friendship with her.
Now the friendship formed overseas is taking them right back to where it all began, as they train to run the 2015 Boston Marathon.
I feel like it shows resiliency, and I feel like it shows, like, you know what, you can knock us down, but we're going to get back up and we're going to run 26 miles.
Sabrina ran the marathon for the first time last year, helping to raise more than $60,000 for her friend Roseanne's medical costs.
I swore I would never do it again, and here I am doing it again.
Running replaced a tragic memory with one of empowerment. A slice of serenity Sabrina hopes Michelle will get along the 26.2-mile journey towards healing.
Not for 1 second did I think about what happened to me the year before. So I hope that you have that same experience, because it's going to be a good day again.
Sabrina and Michelle plan to cross the finish line here together, each stride along the way, making them stronger than they were before. Reporting in Boston, I'm Maria Valdenas.
All right, Maria, thanks very much. A silver lining to obviously a very tragic day.
Absolutely. We've heard about a lot of positive things coming out of this tragedy, but Michelle did end up spending about 2 weeks in the hospital after that bombing.
And talking about good coming out of bad, coming up, we're going to show you how the Boston Fire Department went above and beyond for Michelle and her family while she recovered.
All right, coming up next, though, we've got a great story about a Mainer who has a long list of accomplishments here.
Yes, he does.
And I've known him for a very, very long time. Jeff Peterson introduces us to John Jennings, who's running the marathon for the very first time, just adding to his long resume of accomplishments.
For John Jennings, running has been about losing weight, that is.
Slowly, I got on the treadmill, started walking, started eating better, cut out all the fast food and all the soda and all that kind of stuff.
By changing his lifestyle, in a year and a half, Jennings has lost more than 100 pounds. But running has turned out to mean a lot more than just getting his body in shape.
I've always told people that when I run, it's almost like my own personal therapy, because I can disconnect from the world. You really can't get to me. You can't text me, you can't call me. You can't call, you can't email me, because I'm out there and I'm not looking at my phone or anything else.
That's a major change for Jennings. In the past, he was never able to disconnect. From 1986 to 1997, Jennings worked as a scout, assistant coach, and director of basketball operations for the Boston Celtics.
I mean, coaching the Celtics was an incredibly special time. I mean, I was there during the Bird era, got to coach some of the greatest players to ever play basketball. Coach
Jennings then moved from the Boston Garden to the Rose Garden, where he worked as a special assistant under President Bill Clinton. Jennings also ran for Congress in Indiana back in 2004, and after losing that race, worked with Senator John Kerry for a couple of years. Jennings got back into basketball in 2009 when he became the president and general manager of the Maine Red Claws. All special endeavors, but Jennings says running now tops the list.
But that was all kind of a combined group, a team effort with the White House and the Celtics and the Red Claws. This is an individual achievement.
And that individual achievement has been inspired not only by his goal to get in shape, but also by the recent death of his mother.
She knew I was going to run the Boston Marathon, and so it was something I talked to her about right at the end. And so for me, crossing the finish line will be, really a tribute to her. And, a memory.
A memory that will last a lifetime for Jennings. In South Portland, Jeff Peterson, CBS 13 News.
Some great memories to come for John Jennings, and a seriously impressive resume.
What hasn't he done? That's the question. Absolutely. When I was an intern in college, going to school outside of Boston, I was an intern at the Celtics radio network, and John was an assistant coach with the Celtics during the Larry Bird era. So, and of course, he helped, as Jeff mentioned, bring the Red Claws to Maine. So he's done quite a bit in his life so far.
And okay, can we talk about Jeff for a second, who put together that story? Jeff Peterson is running the Boston Marathon himself. He's here in Boston right now getting ready for the big race. We are cheering him on. He's just one of hundreds of Mainers we'll be watching tomorrow.
Incredible that Jeff's running the 26.2 miles. A couple years ago in softball, we had to have pinch runners for him on the bases. So
he's come a long way.
He's come a long way. Congratulations, Jeff.
That's awesome, Jeff. And now, training 26.2 miles is hard enough, but imagine doing it on a tiny Maine island. That's exactly what one elite runner has been doing for 5 decades. He's been doing it near Cadillac Mountain. Brad Rogers has his story.
He's a world-class marathon runner from Maine. Not the young man driving the boat, but his father. As a boy, Gary Allen dreamed of being a Boston Bruin. When he realized an NHL career seemed unlikely, he joined the cross-country team in middle school.
I wasn't the best runner by any means. I had a wonderful coach that really instilled the love of running into me.
And he's been running ever since. At 58, Gary Allen is one of only 30 runners on Earth to run marathons in under 3 hours' time in 5 straight decades.
That's a list that I'm really honored to be on, and so in order to be in that kind of shape, you don't really have an off season. You know, you're training all the time.
That means running all winter long, and after a harsh winter, the warm sunshine melting the snow and ice is a welcome sight. Somme Sound on Mount Desert Island is one place he likes to run. But this is where he does most of his marathon training, 2.5 miles offshore on Great Cranberry Island, where he and his family live. He runs on the Isle's longest road from one end of the island to the other, over and over again.
The main road is in fact only 2 miles long. And so that when you're doing a 20-mile run and you run past your living room every 2 miles, the incentive to want to stop is always there. And you know, you have to push through to keep going.
As he runs back and forth, passing barking dogs and agitated geese, he says he often feels like a caged animal out on the island.
If I visit a zoo, you know, I can relate to the big cats that are pacing. They seem to always be pacing, not loving where they are. And you know, there were times in my running career that I didn't love being stuck out on the island.
Allen says he's run 100,000 miles in his lifetime, the equivalent of running 4 times around the world. 75,000 of those miles have been run right here on this island, 2 miles at a time.
I think when you start talking about 75,000 or 100,000 miles, I mean, that's a chunk on a car odometer, let alone on a person.
This is Gary Allen running one of his first marathons. He ran his first Boston Marathon in 1979. He has qualified to run in every one since, but chose instead to travel the world and try out other marathons. This will be his 23rd Boston Marathon, and he has the medals to prove it. The one in the middle is from the 117th Boston Marathon in 2013. He was near the finish line in Copley Square and saw the explosion.
You know, I'll never be able to unhear that explosion. I was nearby when both bombs went off, and I won't ever forget that sound and the ensuing, you know, panic.
Allen says the memories of that tragic day stay with him, but he says he will also never forget running the Boston Marathon the following year.
It was an incredible feeling to take back our finish line, and it felt really good to, you know, storm down Boylston Street.
Gary Allen is a descendant of the Bunker family, as in Bunker Hill, one of Charleston's first families. Some of his ancestors later settled on Nantucket. Others settled here on the Cranberry Isles. Today, this island is still home for Gary and a number of his relatives, but running was his way of seeing the world.
The more I run and the more decades I spend on it, I can't really relate to not being a runner. I sort of, whenever I see a stretch of road, I want to like stop the car and just run.
Gary Allen plans on running marathons for many years to come. He told me his legs are doing what they were meant to do. On the Cranberry Isles, Brad Rogers, CBS 13 News.
And Gary Allen has actually founded 2 marathons. One is run in October on Mount Desert Island. The other is on Great Cranberry Island in June. He said he just wanted other marathoners to know what it's like to run back and forth 13 times.
That's incredible, going back and forth 13 times. And obviously beautiful scenery as well. But he's also done a lot for several organizations. He ran from Cadillac Mountain, top of Cadillac Mountain, to our nation's capital, 705 miles in 14 days. He raised $20,000 for the Wounded Warrior Project, American Cancer Society, and Sandy Hook school victims.
You know, that's about 50 miles a day, by the way. That's the average there. An incredible man. There are a lot of reasons people run and run marathons for that matter. And we found a very special Maine woman who is running for a very special Maine child. Courtney Cabot has the story.
Jody Terrio is pretty much always exercising. The personal trainer teaches several fitness classes a day, and she's training for her 3rd marathon.
I'm ready. Yep, absolutely.
This one is different, though. She's running the Boston Marathon to help raise money for 8-year-old Evan Pardue and his family.
It's okay. No, you're tired. It's cool, dude.
Evan likes to run, too.
My favorite thing to do
is run and try to catch my friends.
But for a while, it didn't seem like Evan would ever get to run again, play with friends, or grow up.
Evan was chronically sick for quite a long time, and we weren't getting any answers to many questions.
Last year, Evan was diagnosed with adrenoleukodystrophy, a rare condition that affects the central nervous system, and Addison's disease, a hormonal disorder. And his body was shutting down quickly.
I had to choose to put him through the stem cell transplant, which Evan wasn't expected to make it out of transplant. And here he is, by a miracle.
At this time, an unlikely friendship formed through a random Facebook friend request.
You know, God works in mysterious ways, and maybe that's why.
Jody saw photos of Evan on Kira's page and asked if she could run to raise money for him.
I was losing hope and I was losing faith, and it's like she made it all so much better just by her caring act of kindness. Like, was that second win that I needed to keep going forward.
And when Jody needs the strength to keep going in Boston,
When I'm hitting that wall, I'm going to think about him, and I'm going to be like, you know what? He goes through something every single day. One day I can push through it.
Evan is doing better. His ALD was successfully treated and his last MRI came back inactive. But he will always struggle with Addison's disease.
I'm gonna close my eyes and fall asleep right now.
There is no cure, but it can be managed with medication. So far, Jody has raised nearly $2,500 to help the family with some of the costs.
She wanted to help alleviate some of that burden for me, and she did more than that.
In Portland, Courtney Cabot, CBS 13 News.
What a great story. Thank you, Courtney. And her goal, by the way, is to run the marathon in 3 hours. I don't think I could drive the marathon with my car in 3 hours, so that's...
No way.
Yeah.
But she probably has a good shot because she ran last year's main marathon in 3 hours, 13 minutes. So, I mean, running hard, working hard, and doing good at the same time. It doesn't get much better than
Incredible,
that, really.
yeah.
Best of luck to you, Jody. You can do 3 hours. We have faith in you. So you having fun yet? We have heard some incredible stories so far during this 1 hour special. Here's a look at what's coming up next. For some runners, age is just a number.
I'm 73 years old.
I'm 65 years old.
I'm 62, and I got into running back in around 1980-ish.
Meet the Mainers, who are not letting the clock slow them down.
To me, you know, the only time I really know my age is when I look in the mirror.
It's a beautiful day in Cambridge, Massachusetts, as you take a live look at the Charles River. The sun is shining and the runners are getting ready. Welcome back to our special Mainers at the Marathon, the heart of the race, brought to you by Saco Biddeford Savings Bank.
The saying goes, age is just a number. 3 main runners are certainly proving that's true.
Yeah, and as Jennifer Long shows us, they're not using how old they are as an excuse.
My name is Phil Pierce. I'm 73 years old, be 74 this summer. I started running in 1983 because I was overweight and I couldn't get into my clothes. I had a choice of buying a new wardrobe or exercising, so I decided to run.
Phil Pierce hasn't stopped running ever since. He admits he's an addict.
It's a positive addiction.
This year will be his 30th Boston Marathon.
And I've got probably 21 medals here.
And there's plenty more, just no room to put them all.
I have a medal from that race upstairs here.
Medals from marathons all over the country.
See? It's just full of medals. Now, see if we can find the Boston.
And he doesn't stop at 26.2 miles. He has about 25 ultra marathons under his belt. Those are 100-mile trail races done in 24 hours.
You get belt buckles like this for doing 100-mile trail races. And so I have 6 favorite ones that I wear all the time.
These buckles are his trophies.
Beat the clock by 4 minutes, and I got this belt buckle. It's one of my favorites. I finished dead last, but at least I finished.
The number of races he's completed keep going up, but so does his time.
I used to run 6-minute miles, and then you get older, you run 7-minute miles, and you get older, you run 8-minute miles.
It bothers him, but not enough to stop.
As long as I can run Boston in under 6 hours, I'll keep running Boston.
We'll see ya. We're gonna do 8 sets, 90 seconds on, 60 seconds recovery. Again, as hard or as easy as you want to make it.
Up 95 to Lewiston, the PR Racing Club laces up every Tuesday night for a few miles and a few laughs.
Hello, Peter.
Amos, you're doing a good job.
Yeah, right.
For one member, these are the nights that keep him young.
Amos Woodward, I'm 65 years old. To me, you know, the only time I really know my age is when I look in the mirror. Other than that, I feel about the same as I did when I was in my 30s. Not when I'm running hard, but you know, I still feel good, and I take a little more ibuprofen than I used to, and that's a big difference.
This will be Woodward's second Boston and 5th career marathon. His first marathon was in his 30s. He then gave up running for about 20 years to focus on his family. He then ran his next marathon when he was 62.
When you get to about mile 18 to 20, you always question why you're doing it. And then you pull yourself through and you get through those last 6 or 7 miles.
Woodward says he's competitive, but doesn't mind seeing his pace slow.
You go with it. I mean, you just accept the fact that you're going to be slower. I'm running just as hard. I'm just going slower, that's all.
Every marathon, he says the same thing.
You know, I always say this is going to be my last one, but I don't know. We'll see.
My name's Ellen Spring, and I'm 62, and I got into running back in around 1980-ish, 79, 80, because my boyfriend at that time was into running, and so I'd go and watch him race. This is a picture of my boyfriend who actually got me started.
Over the years, Don Sanborn and Ellen Spring started and finished a lot of races together.
This was when we were running the Maine Coast Marathon. That was my first marathon, actually.
Don was her support and coach.
He did the last half of that marathon with me.
Running partner.
Here, that was when we ran in the Marine Corps Marathon in Washington, D.C.
And life partner.
This was when we just ran on Beechwood Street in the snow.
Over the years, running became a passion, and the number of marathons they did climbed as high as their ages.
These are all different trophies that I've gotten in different races that I've been doing.
She's run almost 50 marathons, 24 of them in Boston. Every mile, Don is on her mind.
And I was with him for 33 years until he passed away of a heart attack. Yeah. We had just run only like a mile, and then we were driving down the road, and he was the one driving, and he just kind of falls right over and starts gasping and had the heart attack right there. Yeah, and that was about, what, 4 years ago now. Yeah, so I still keep running though. Yeah.
Ellen keeps running, and even though she's not as fast as she used to be, she doesn't mind.
I'm getting slower in my older age, but that's okay because I'm still out there trying.
It just gives her more time to think, more time to enjoy everything around her.
That's Jennifer Long reporting. Great job, great piece. Hey, we actually found the oldest runner.
Yes, we did.
She's from Santa Cruz, California. Her name is Catherine Beers. How old is she, Jenna?
Okay, tomorrow on race day, Catherine Beers from Santa Cruz will be 82 years old, 9 months and 3 days, and she is certainly tougher than any of us will ever be.
That is incredible.
Incredible.
If that's not inspiration, that's the definition right there.
Yeah, and we've got plenty of Maine runners who hope to be running that well at 82 years old, and just a great piece there by Jennifer Long. 3 very inspiring runners from Maine.
Absolutely. And here's a look at what we have coming up next.
After a day of chaos, a moment of ease.
It was a relief.
The reunion between an Auburn woman and her firefighter dad after the blast.
That was kind of the first thing I wanted when I was in the hospital. So seeing him was very helpful.
How Boston firefighters brought comfort to this Maine family in more ways than one. Welcome back to Mainers at the Marathon, the heart of the race. We are hearing so many incredible, inspiring stories about Mainers today.
Well, at the very beginning of the show, we told you about Michelle LaRue. She is from Auburn originally. She lives down in Boston now. She was injured in the bombing. She had a tough recovery, and this year she is going to run the race here tomorrow.
Michelle's dad is a retired firefighter from Auburn, and he was at the finish line and saw her right after the explosions. And this is an incredible story. Here's Maria Valvanis.
It was a relief. It was a relief. I lost my mother years ago, and that was kind of the first thing I wanted when I was in the hospital. So seeing him was very helpful.
LaRue says when the Boston Fire Department found out her father, Paul, was a fellow firefighter, they went above and beyond.
They put my name on the whiteboard in the station, and they sent somebody to my hospital room almost every day, making sure I had everything I needed and asking me if I needed anything.
For 2 long weeks, Mass General Hospital was home for both LaRues. The recovery weighed on father and daughter until the Brotherhood of Firefighters again delivered, this time some relief for Paul.
I think they wanted to do something nice for him and give him a break, and so they came and asked me before they even asked him. They asked me if I minded if they took him to a Red Sox game to get him out for a while, and I was like, of course, like, take him.
LaRue's company also offered her dad incredible seats behind home plate for the same game. But Paul had a new family to celebrate with.
My dad chose to go with the firefighters instead, because my dad was like, you know, that's amazing, but I'd rather sit with my firefighter brothers, which I thought was really nice.
Michelle says she became very close with 2 of those firefighters, and last year one of them ran the marathon with her name on his shirt.
That's unbelievable.
And she's going to run this year. Best of luck to you. You know, we have heard so many inspiring stories this morning, but we have more to come, if you can believe it. Our coverage continues tomorrow morning, starting at 4:30 on Good Day Maine. You're going to hear some more incredible stories, including one from a woman from Kents Hill. She's worked there for 12 years, and she is using inspiration from 2 of her co-workers to run the race for a very worthy cause. And also, don't forget, our very own Jeff Peterson will be running the race as well. And Amanda Jellig and I will be at the finish line tomorrow morning live on Good Day Maine, starting at 4:30 right here on CBS 13, tracking that race day forecast.
And of course, good luck to all the runners, and we'd like to thank our great sponsor, our friends at Saco Biddeford Savings Bank, for making our show possible today.
And if you missed any of the stories today, you can find them on our website, WGME.com. Our coverage continues tonight on CBS 13, as well as tomorrow morning on Good Day Maine.
Thank you so much for joining us. To all of the runners, best of luck. Happy race day. Have a great Sunday.